1420.
8:35, good morning. This is the Bobby Curran Show on ESPN 1420, ESPN1420AM.com. What you should be paying attention to in the sports world coming up in just a little bit. Also coming up, we've got tickets to Rainbow Warrior Baseball against Arizona this weekend. In the meantime, all of our guests appear courtesy of the Card Plus Hotline. We welcome in Joe Habeeb from RingsideReport.com, who joins us now on the program. So, Joe, I think there's a lot of conflicting information. Where are we? Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. Is it going to happen?
Well, the rumor is that it is going to happen, but, until we see an official press conference announcing the fight, I'm going to be very skeptical, just like everyone else, I think, should be.
What makes you, what makes you become skeptical initially over something like this?
Well, because there's so many rumors swirling around in boxing, and we've been duped by Floyd Mayweather before. He's put information out on the web only to kind of recant things that he says, and he does tend to contradict himself a lot. So it's, with all due respect, it's just hard to always take Floyd 100% serious when he speaks.
Well, he's also talked about being retired, and there's a point where it seemed like he wouldn't come out of retirement, which makes you wonder, what would make this different for him to decide to come out of retirement for?
Well, I think Floyd really loves the limelight, and he likes the attention, and I think by telling people he's retired, then when he comes back, his return becomes more of an event than if he was just to stay active. So I think he likes to kind of build himself up, and by retiring and then coming back, as he's done in the past, very similar to what Sugar Ray Leonard has done, when he was boxing. I think fighters have egos, and I think fighters like to build their egos up, and everyone has a different mindset and different psychological profile. And I think Floyd is that type where he just likes attention. He likes to kind of, have people gas him up. I think he needs that, and I think by doing what he does and by saying the things he says, I think that kind of fuels that. It makes him feel good.
On the other side, for Conor McGregor, given what we have there with the UFC, I know you're mainly a boxing guy, but it would appear that if there's anybody who wouldn't want this to happen, you would think it's the UFC, right?
I was thinking that myself too, but I think if you put money down on the table, I think everyone has a price. Just like if you watch WWE back in the day, Ted DiBiase,
yeah.
everyone has a price, right? So if Dana White can be compensated, I'm sure he'll allow this to happen. I don't see why he wouldn't.
With Joe Habeeb, Joe Habeeb joining us from RingsideReporter.com. With us courtesy of the CardQuest hotline. Who stands to gain more from this? And I'm talking about it strictly from a league perspective, like a UFC or a boxing. What sport stands to gain more from a fight like this happening?
Well, to be honest, there's a couple things going on here. Conor McGregor and Dana White, they've had their share of kind of back and forths, and they're not on the best terms in terms of, professionally, if you will. Conor McGregor skipped out on a few press conferences. He said some controversial things that kind of upset Dana White, and there's been rumors that they had a meeting recently, and it was said that Dana White stormed out of the meeting. So this could be a way of Dana White feeding Conor McGregor to the wolves, so to speak, letting Floyd Mayweather have his way with him in the boxing ring, because it's kind of hard to imagine him ever having any type of success against Floyd Mayweather. And not only that, the money involved is just so huge. And, James Toney, if people remember, he went into the UFC a while back, and he got handled pretty easily. And I think this could be revenge for boxing in a lot of fans' minds. Randy Couture did do a job on James Toney, choked him out real quick. So this could be boxing's way of getting back at the UFC. But, all in all, money talks, right? So I think if everyone is compensated properly, which it looks like they will be, then it doesn't really matter who looks good and who looks bad from an image standpoint.
Well, one of the things that I kind of tend to wonder is, for boxing, at times it's some of these kinds of fights that maybe gain it relevancy because, sometimes boxing does fall under the radar at times. But does having a fight like this almost I don't want to say face in a sense, but does a fight like this almost kind of fall, against what boxing really is? I mean, when you match up a fight with somebody who's not a boxer, I mean, it almost kind of seems like kind of kitschy in a sense, if you know where I'm getting at.
I understand 100% what you're saying, but this is what I tell everybody, and even in boxing, you have events and you have super fights. The difference between an event and a super fight is when you have an event, it's all about the two people involved in that event, how much attention they can draw to the event, how much money they can generate to the event. So that's what an event is all about. When you have a super fight, you have two athletes that are on the same level where it's basically a 50-50 fight. It's a coin flip. And that's a super fight. And sometimes the super fights aren't always super events, and sometimes the super events aren't always super fights. Very rare can you get both at the same time, both in one. The whole kit and caboodle, if you will. So this would be an event. People would buy this just for the curiosity factor. Doesn't matter if Conor McGregor gets knocked out in 2 rounds. People will still buy, just like they used to buy those Mike Tyson fights, because Mike Tyson fights were an event. Everyone knew more often than not he was going to knock his opponent out in 1 or 2 rounds, but they just wanted to see the carnage. This could be the same thing. This is what I would call and categorize definitely a super event.
So with that said, I mean, now I put it from the perspective of, UFC/boxing, who stands to gain more, for example. Let's look at it from the other side, from the individuals here. Who stands to gain more in a bout like this? Is it a McGregor or is it a Mayweather?
Well, if Mayweather does get the $100 million like he says he would, I think Mayweather would gain more because it would just be an easy $100. So it's basically the amount of money he would be making for the risk involved here. I think he would be definitely the guy getting the better end of the deal, in my opinion. Not that Conor McGregor wouldn't be getting something, because he'd be getting $50 million, which is leaps and bounds above what he's ever made in his career. But Floyd Mayweather has made millions and millions of dollars. I'm not saying Conor McGregor hasn't, but he's nowhere near the stratosphere that Mayweather is on. But I think all in all, if you really look at it, I think Mayweather would gain more in this situation, and he knows that. Mayweather always puts himself in a situation where he's the guy who's going to gain more, and the other guy's on the short end of the stick. That's what it's all about,
Yeah, you're kind of looking at it from a money perspective, but I mean, for a McGregor, let's say Conor McGregor hangs around in a bout like this, which I think you and I think both would agree it's kind of a miracle if he would.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that elevate him to a different level if he's able to hang in a bout more than, let's say, 2-3 rounds? Absolutely.
I mean, if Conor McGregor can hang in there and actually win maybe four rounds out of the 12, then his stock would go up. There's no question about that. But that's a big if. But yeah, that would be one scenario where, Conor McGregor's stock could go up. But I honestly see him getting knocked out within 4 or 5 rounds in this fight, if it was to happen.
Well, how much money do you think this could bring in? You mentioned just how large of a payday each of these guys could get in its own right, but how much money are they thinking this could bring in, and how does that compare to, let's say, a Pacquiao-Mayweather or other big boxing pay-per-views?
Well, we're never going to probably see another Pacquiao-Mayweather again unless they rematch, but I honestly believe this could be a 2 million pay-per-view buy type event, possibly even 2.5 million pay-per-view buys, and I think Mayweather could get 100 million, and it's not out of the realm of possibility to see McGregor get close to 50 million, around that range, and I think that would be a success if that were to happen. You get at least 2 million pay-per-view buys on this fight, I think that would be a huge success. So I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all.
What will it depend on, whether it exceeds that or falls short of that? What will it depend on?
Well, obviously promotion is a big deal. You know what I mean? And I think both these guys have pretty flamboyant personalities, so I think the press conferences leading up to this fight would be amazing. And also, you're going to have you're going to get both demographics, because the UFC has a very young demographic and boxing has more of an older demographic. So if you can grab both of those demographics, you're going to want the boxing crowd to going to say, hey, we want to see one of these UFC guys really get in the ring and really show us what type of hand skills they have in terms of boxing ability. And then you're going to have the UFC guys thinking, you know what, maybe Conor McGregor can do it. Let's see Conor McGregor go in there and just give Mayweather all he can handle. And I think the curiosity factor is going to be big here. A lot of people may be calling this fight a joke right now, but I guarantee you 99.9% of those people calling this fight a joke are probably going to buy it. So, it is what it is.
Joe Habeeb, ringsidereporter.com. Joe, appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Joe and all of our guests.
Thank you, Joe. Have a good day, sir.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care.